I wanted to, you know, swiftly go into the frame, but I guess it's just not gonna happen today. Hi, this is Dasha and this is my day 10 of Talking to the Camera challenge. I can't believe I've been filming for 10 days. It seems surreal to me. It's more than I filmed any time before. I'm really excited. I have lots of topics that I want to cover, but today I want to talk about how to make our home cozy and create this perfect environment for any activity that you choose to do in your home. And I'll also say that everything I mentioned today is my personal view on this, so obviously cozy might look and feel different to different people, and you decide what you like to see in your home. For me, these are a few steps that I take to make sure that my small space, and I do live in a small space, is as comfortable for me as possible, as visually appealing as possible, because I really value aesthetics of my space, and that I am just free to do whatever I want without, you know, pouring this energy out, observing the space that I don't like. And instead I have this comforting, calming space for me that invites me to do things that I really love doing. I asked Alexa how long I have until sunset, and apparently more than an hour, but we live in the UK, so the sky is permanently in a greyish condition. So in case light starts going bad, I do apologize. So whatever place it is that I call home, the first and foremost thing for me is to establish some sort of cleaning routine. So the place is always clean, regardless of what furniture your house has, regardless of how much light it has, regardless of how cheap or expensive accommodation is. If it's dirty, it's dirty. It's never going to be cozy if it's dirty. A regular cleaning routine includes things that you do every day, things that you do every week, and even things that you do every month, just to make sure that you maintain this space. And this maintaining is the most important bit. If you clean your space once and do just for the result, for the clean result, then it will stay clean maybe for 5 to 7 days, but then things will start accumulating, right? Dirty dishes will start accumulating, surfaces will become dusty. And while I have that routine for myself of things that I do daily and things that I do weekly, just to kind of keep that maintenance on and make sure that my space is comfortable for me at all times. I'm not saying that I am perfect at this, and things sometimes still accumulate. I still live in a mess sometimes, but it helps me knowing what things I have to do on a regular basis to maintain it to the best of my ability, to the best of the time that I have. The point is not to be perfect, the point is to be consistent. So for example, things I do on a daily basis is doing the dishes, wiping the kitchen counters, wiping the stove, making my bed on a morning, stuff like that, stuff that doesn't take a long time to do and that actually makes a visual difference to the space that you live in. On a weekly basis, I do a little bit more of a deep clean stuff. I clean my bathroom, I clean my microwave, vacuuming, all of those things that take slightly longer and don't need to be done so regularly. You can do them on a weekly basis. Laundry I don't even have a schedule for, right? I just do it whenever it comes up. Just cleaning the surfaces can make them so inviting. You can use them for whatever activity you have in mind. You can work at a clean wiped desk. You can cook at a clean kitchen counter. All of those things are so much more comfortable and inspiring with your space clean. So whatever space you live in, cleaning it can make all the difference. Even if it's not much, it will have a massive impact on the quality of your life there. Now, I like to separate cleaning from tidying. Cleaning is actually scrubbing something and making sure that there is no dust or grease or lime scale, all of that stuff. But if we're talking about tidying, it's putting things to where they belong, putting things to their regular home. And it's very important that everything that you own has a home where it lives, and preferably that this home is not on top of the open surfaces that you have. Just because when you have a lot of stuff out sitting on the counters or shelves, it might create the impression of messiness, and personally, it's my personal preference, I don't like seeing stuff on the surfaces of my home. If you know exactly where you store each of the items that you own, it will be so much easier to tidy because you know exactly where to put things. You will never again lose things. If your thing is not in your home, you lost it forever. You know that it can't be anywhere else because you're organized enough to assign a space to each of your items. About every night, maybe every other night, I tidy stuff away from the surfaces. If something that sits on the surface doesn't belong there, it returns to its regular home. And looking around and seeing clean surfaces, knowing that everything is tidied away to where it should be, just makes your space so much lighter and airier and so much more pleasant to be in. And especially if you live in a small apartment or a small room, it makes all the difference. It makes it look so much more spacious and open. And I'm not saying that all the surfaces should be empty at all costs. Things that we use on a daily basis are totally okay to store next to us within our reach. For example, stuff that we put on our nightstand that we use daily, like our contacts or our glasses. Work laptop can always sit on our desk. We don't need to put it away. I'm not talking of taking this to the... I forgot to put my phone on non-disturb. What was I saying? I'm not talking about taking this to the extreme level, right? So things that we use regularly are totally fine to live on top of the surfaces to be more within our reach. The next point on my list, and this is exactly something that I pay attention to when I move home, for example, is natural lighting. The space that I'm in has to have as much natural light as possible. Windows should be wide, they should let lots of light through. It's especially good if the windows are facing south, that way as much natural daylight comes into the room as possible. And I understand it's not always possible to have that in the current space that you live in, but if you have an option, natural light can make it so much easier, especially at winter. In winter it gets dark earlier, so having as much of that sunlight or even just daylight as possible during the day can be so crucial to our mood and how we feel in the space that we live in. If natural light is not an option where you live, then make sure that you have as much artificial lights installed as possible to have your room nice and light, to have enough light for any activity that you do, whether it's reading or painting. Personally, I prefer warm lighting. Cold white lights make me feel like I'm at a hospital, but warm lighting makes me feel relaxed. I have smart lights that I tend to switch to a much warmer shade as soon as it gets dark so that my brain feels the coziness of my environment and gets ready for bed with me. My brain gets ready for bed with me. Did you just hear what I said? My brain is getting ready for bed together with me. I'm getting ready for bed. That's what I wanted to say. I like that. I'm gonna keep that. Another big deal for me is having plants in my room, and just looking at something green can improve your mood so drastically. It adds some color to the room, it adds that pop of a color, especially if you have white walls, light furniture, everything feels like a limbo, and then there is this like bright green thing on your windowsill. It just makes such a big difference to the space and livens it up. Can I say that? Can I say livens it up? I think I can. Just makes it so much nicer. And also, and again, it's a personal thing, plants calm me down. I feel like I'm able to deal with stress more if I'm surrounded by plants, so I am a bit of a plant nerd. I have 2 massive monsteras and I don't intend to stop there. Next point, cozy bed, right? And I'm saying that because I know that all of us like cozying up in our bed until midday on a weekend. I know that. I'm guilty of that. I know that everyone has done that. Having a spacious cozy bed with fresh bedding, with a nice soft mattress, with the bed cover that's, you know, a bedspread that's on top of the bed, it just makes the room so much more elevated. And also in moments where we don't want to leave the bed, even when we should, it just creates this environment for us to relax and detach ourselves a little bit and just do whatever we want. Maybe we're reading, maybe we're having a cup of tea or even breakfast in bed. Having that cozy bed is crucial for me, especially because I live in a space with no sofa or an armchair. So I use my bed as a sofa as well. It's very important in small spaces when you don't really have space for all of the furniture that you want, that you make use of what you have, okay? So cozy bed is a must for me, and I try to make sure that I make the bed every morning just to create it, to turn it into a sofa, if you will. And in general, I believe that you need nothing more for a cozy space than a cozy bed and some plants and some good lights, right? That's just, to me, those are the 3 essentials if we're talking about things that we need to have rather than things that we need to do. Now you have a cozy space, but it looks a bit empty still. What do we do? we use some sentimental things that we own as decorations, and that's what really personalizes the space. That's what really screams that it's your room or your flat or your house, because you have pictures framed somewhere. Maybe somebody gifted you a birthday card that you now want to display on your shelf. Maybe you've just returned from a trip and you brought something from there, a souvenir that will fit perfectly on your nightstand. It's things like that that make the space connected to the owner of the space. Every time you walk by and you glance over these sentimental items, it reminds you of how rich your life is, of how many amazing people are in your life, of what amazing gifts you got from people, or, you know, of the experiences that you've had and you brought a little something to commemorate those experiences. It might not be much, it doesn't have to be every corner of your room stuffed with souvenirs and sentimental kind of memory items that you have, but with moderation, I think it can really elevate your room or your house and make sure that it's connected to you as a person. And the last one that I'll mention is the smell of your home. And obviously, a clean space will already smell nice, but if you want to go that one extra step, if you have the energy to spend on that, then you might think about aroma candles, you might think about burner sticks. I've been gifted a diffuser for Christmas, so I just use it to diffuse essential oils in my room and make it smell with, I don't know, my favorite smells like rose or eucalyptus, stuff like that. It's not even a mandatory step, I'll admit, it's very extra. But if we're thinking about perfectionism, and I do think about perfectionism a lot, I am a perfectionist, then taking that one small extra step to make sure that your home smells like your favorite flower or food, you know, or whatever smell it is that you like, will make sure that it's like a cherry on top. It's like tying everything together. You've already put so much effort in, might as well go all the way. By no means am I saying that my space is always tidy. By no means am I saying that my space is always clean. I slip up like the rest of us. I forget to do things. I get lazy sometimes and I don't have the energy to do things. But as long as I try to do something on the regular to maintain it and to make sure that I put as much effort in as I have the energy for to create a cozy environment for myself, I will always, you know, feel like I can do anything in my home. None of us are perfect. We will all slip up sometimes. We will all fail sometimes. But these are the tips that I try to follow myself just to feed that aesthetic lover in me, to make sure that everywhere I look, my gaze is satisfied, that I'm comfortable looking around my space and knowing that everything is how it should be, or, you know, as much so as possible. And of course, I cleaned my studio before filming all of this, so this doesn't 100% of the time always look like that. Sometimes I mess up. But nonetheless, I hope that this was interesting for you to hear. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!